Okay, so sorry, my roommate is still asleep, so I had to move down to the lounge. That's why we're wearing a mask, communal spot. But I want to talk about in the Intel Corporation and their sustainable practices. So just a little bit of background on Intel. They're best known for their manufacturing of semiconductors and commercial and consumer computer processors. So this is like the brain of the computer. There's a really good chance that the computer that you're using right now actually has an Intel chip inside. It was founded by Robert Noyce and Gordon Moore back in 1968. They were previously in the business as well, and they broke even after 3 years of doing business, and that's paid off because they brought in $78 billion worth of revenue in 2020. So I really want to highlight four big areas of Intel's sustainable initiatives. So we have climate energy, I'm going to talk about water, their supply chain, and then diversity in the workplace. So I'm a big numbers guy. I love numbers. So on the right, the big graph there, that's their greenhouse gas emissions. So you'll notice that those bars are going up. So that's their absolute emissions. So in the past 4 years, their absolute emissions have been going up, but that green line is normalized by like products. So they're being more efficient in the amount of greenhouse gas emissions per product. So you can see that's going down. So they are like emitting more greenhouse gas, but it's less per product. So they're becoming more efficient as they expand. And regardless, even though that their absolute emissions are going up right now, it's still a 31% absolute reduction since the year 2000. And a lot of that is attributed to new technology within their business that they've innovated in. So bringing down the greenhouse gas emissions by product. And then also all their buildings in Europe and the US are run on renewable energy. Sometimes they build their own facilities for that, but they also they're one of the biggest buyers of renewable energy, especially in Ireland as well. Water consumption is a really big part of the semiconductor business. It requires a lot of water to produce. We're talking about billions of gallons a year. So on the right, that chart there, same thing with the green line. So they're becoming more efficient over time of how much water they use, even though their absolute water withdrawal is increasing. So water withdrawal is what they're taking from rivers and streams and municipal water supplies. But that consumption is what's important there, the 2.9 billion in 2019. So that's the big number that they're concerned with right now. And their goal is to restore 100% of their water use by 2025. So what that means is they're going to still consume water no matter what. That's just how the industry works. But they're working globally. They have 21 water projects right now going in across the country, especially. So they're working with farmers and these kind of unique areas, not necessarily within their own regions, but they're basically going to, by helping these areas, their net use of water is going to be zero by 2025. And regardless, that big 12.6 billion in 2019 that they take it from the water supply, 80% of that is treated and pumped right back into the water supply. And water consumption per unit has decreased by 38%. So that's that green line, that baseline since 2010. So it's been going down. So they've been more efficient with their water use, which is, I think, the most important as their business grows. Next big thing is supply chain. They have 10,000 suppliers in over 80 countries. So this is, I think, the really biggest issue of Intel and any technology company that builds things out of, precious materials and precious minerals. So I spend over $1 billion a year on diverse suppliers. So they count diverse suppliers as like 51% owned by minorities of that country. So women and then like ethnic or racial minorities within the country that they're operating in. They also audit all of their suppliers that they deem risky across 300 categories. So they're going in and if they send out a survey, if their survey results are a little sketchy, they go out and fly out and investigate the supplier. And then they'll terminate the contract if it's really bad. And then there's smelters, because you got to get those 4 precious minerals, 3TG as they call it. So you've got to smelt it down, refine it. And all the smelters and refiners that they work with are almost 100% compliant with forced and child labor of the Intel policies. And lastly, diversity in the workplace. So they closed the pay gap among genders back in 2019, I want to say. And then they also have higher retention rates since 2015. Their representation has grown since 2015. You can see at the bottom. They also invest hundreds of millions of dollars in diverse startups. So the same definition, but more in the U.S. In terms of new businesses forming. And then also they have a big volunteer initiative. So almost 40% of their employees volunteered, over a million volunteer hours in 2019. That's from. So just in conclusion, Intel is on the forefront of sustainability. There, we talk about big tech, and we don't like to hear about where they get their minerals from. And but Intel is really kind of being transparent about what they're doing, and they audit all these people, and they're doing good, and they have a long way to go. So 2030 goals, 100% of the renewable energy is going to come for all of their operations globally, not just in Europe and the US. By 2030, they're actually going to have net positive water consumption. So we talked about net zero by 2025. They want to be net positive by 2030. So that's a big goal. And then continuing to increase product power efficiency through advocacy and government groups. And then also developing carbon neutral products within the entire industry as a whole, the computing industry, and collaborating with other companies to figure out how we can, the entire hardware section of computing can be carbon neutral. And that is all I have.